Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and hope you guys are having a good day and really appreciate you taking some of your time to check today's video out. You guys, today I sort of want to have a wide-ranging conversation on the fact that something is happening to bass fishing and bass in terms of making them more difficult to catch, making them harder to find. And this is something not only that I have experienced just on a very obvious level the past couple of years, but my buddies across the country have well, guys. Over the course of me fishing professionally for 40 years, I've had a chance to make friendships with anglers all over the country, coast to coast, and we regularly communicate, and I'm hearing the same thing from them. And I got some theories on this about why this is and maybe some things we can do about it, and really just sort of wanted to bring it to the attention because it is something that is going on right underneath our eyes. So we're going to get into that in today's episode. Also, guys, one quick thing I wanted to show you before we get started. April and May are really good topwater months, and the best topwater, guys, I have ever fished in this time frame is a wake bait. This is the one, my favorite one I use. This is the Megabass iJack. And anyway, this thing, a wake bait, it's just what it says. You wheel it across the surface just like that. It goes real slow across the surface, and it throws out a little V wake behind it. In the springtime of the year, April and May, guys, this is deadly. The mood and the personality of the bass, they really like these wake baits. So I'll link my Megabass iJack link in the description, and my Tackle Warehouse link in the description of this video. If you guys would like to try a wake bait out, it's really super fun way to catch them. You do have to have calm conditions, though. You need calm conditions for a wake bait, so you can see that V there. Okay, we've alluded to this a little bit in some past videos, but guys, it's becoming more obvious, every single trip that I go out. Let me give you one just microcosm example of what I was talking about. And you guys may have seen the video I did yesterday. Yesterday I had an on-the-water lesson at Table Rock Lake. And the time of filming this video, we're in the third week of April, which is probably the best time to fish Table Rock. A lot of fish are up shallow, fish are spawning, fish are biting. Just a really good time to fish it. So anyway, on my way down to the lake yesterday, a friend of mine called that he lives up at Lake of the Ozarks. He's lived up there forever. He fishes the lake like 2 or 3 days a week. He's just ate up with bass fishing. And he was telling me the same thing before I got down there. He goes, Randy, I cannot catch hardly anything up here right now. He said, these bass are not shallow. He goes, I have fished up here for decades. And he goes, I don't know where they're at. He said, they are not in the same places they have been for the last 40 years up here. And anyway, fast forward to yesterday, guys. Going into that on the water lesson yesterday, we were focused on fishing like shaky heads and wacky worms on the lesson. And I thought that we would catch on average probably 20 to 40 bass yesterday. Just the average, maybe even more. It's like, it's not uncommon to catch 50, 75 bass, or in the past it was, on Table Rock during this time frame because so many of the bass are up shallow. Guys, we caught 3 fish all day long. I could not believe it. It's like, I was saying, it's like, what is the deal here? So I've been fishing Table Rock since the late 1960s. And I fish it a lot this time of year. I have never had a day like that ever. And we had perfect conditions. It was breezy, it was warm, it was cloudy, water was in good shape. Fish just weren't there. They were not there to be caught. And I'm not saying that there's not somewhere to catch them on the lake, but the traditional areas that have produced for 40 plus years, not only for myself there on Table Rock, and I've seen this also too during the wintertime for jerkbait fishing, but like my buddy that lives up at Lake of the Ozarks, and every time I've done a video like this, I hear the same comments from you guys across the country. Fishing is not the same as it used to be. It's not as good as it was. Where are the fish at? Fish are harder to catch. And that's what I want to talk about in today's video. Now, let's talk about the reasons here, because there's not one reason why this is going on. There's a lot of different reasons, and I have spent a lot of time thinking about this because it really bothers me a lot. So I've seen this for about 2 years now, 2 or 3 years, where it's been really obvious. And I've been trying to look at it from a very critical thinking point of view. And here's my analysis of what happens with it. Number one, bass are super intelligent. It's like, people don't give bass credit enough for how smart they are. That, guys, bass have been on this planet for over 3 million years. They have found evidence of the largemouth bass lineage that goes back over 3 million years. So to survive that long as a species, which is incredible, you have got to be so adaptable and so smart. And I think that's one of the things. I think bass evolve and they adapt unbelievably quick, quicker than we can even imagine. I think they get aware of sounds and colors and looks and vibrations and different things in the water that put them in a negative feeding mode. I think that's number one right there, is that the bass are evolving quickly not to bite or be in traditional areas. Second thing with that is there's this reaction to fishing pressure. When you have a lot of activity as far as putting noise decibels in the lake, whether it be trolling motor noises, outboard motor noises, jet skis, electronic pings off your electronic units, bass, they feel that and they react to that the same way that is like if a bad cold front went through, they get into a negative feeding mode. And it's like that happens more and more and more as we have more anglers fishing lakes across the country. I mean, they really, really turn off, a lot when this activity increases. Second with that is the fact that the number of anglers out there, we have so many anglers fishing now, and I think that without any doubt, there's been a decimation in the fish populations, because you figure you've got, I'm going to guess that in the bass anglers in this country, probably 80% of them do not fish tournaments, and probably 20% of them do fish tournaments. And there's more and more and more anglers on the water every day, and they're getting better. It's like the information through YouTube and technology and equipment advances makes people, they're better at catching fish than they've ever been before. Even the recreational weekend anglers that just, don't fish tournaments. And guys, a large percentage of those people that do not fish tournaments, that bass fish, they keep the bass and eat them, especially the night fishermen. I see it all the time, guys. I see people filleting bass out all the time. So when you've got an increase in the amount of non-tournament anglers that have become better and better and better at catching fish, and we've seen it with crappie, guys. We've seen how, like live scopes has devastated crappie populations to the point where they're putting stricter creel limits on it because of it. But when you've got this technology that is aiding anglers to get better and better, and there's more of them out there, and there's more of them keeping the bass, that has an impact on the fisheries. And then on top of the delayed mortality from tournaments that has rapidly increased because of forward-facing sonar and the barotrauma issues that have come traditionally with people, catching fish out deeper. I just think that our fish populations are dwindling at a rapid rate, and I do not agree with I hear a lot of these conservation departments out there, with creel studies and stuff like that. I don't agree with it, guys, because the way that they do their creel sampling, if they go to a boat ramp and ask some dude how many fish they caught, that's not a scientific study. Those guys could be lying to them. That's a very poor way of measuring how many fish people are catching. So that increased activity on the lake is part of it. Now, the other part of it that goes into is like when you start getting this advanced electronic technology with the Panoptics and the live scope. Over the past 10 years or so, this technology has been pretty much relegated to open water offshore fishing, and that's why you've seen such a tremendous increase in the weights in a lot of tournaments, is because they're tapping in to this untapped population of fish that were protected, forever up until the forward-facing sonar came along, and it creates this illusion of bad fishing, of good fishing, because when you are tapping into this previously inaccessible population of fish and nobody else is catching them up on the bank, it creates this illusion that the lake is healthy when it's not, because those fish in that shallow water, guys, I can tell you right now, they're not there. Those fish that have lived in that shallow to mid-depth range in lakes across the country are simply not there anymore. They've been caught and they've been educated. And then on top of that, the problem you have, and this is what we're seeing right now, this is the number one thing as I speak that we're seeing, is that anglers and the technology have advanced to the point where they're using that forward-facing sonar technology in shallow water. We've seen guys win tournaments off of bedding fish that they couldn't see visibly with spotlighting for bass. We've seen guys that are spotlighting flooded bushes. They're doing it around boat docks. They're doing it around shallow logs. They're doing it around shallow grass beds. There's literally no place for these bass to hide anymore with the forward-facing sonar technology. There's nowhere for them to hide. And that has an impact. When you have people fishing and getting better and better at this and taking those fish out and everything that goes with it, not only are we creating this super aware, super intelligent, breed of bass. Bass are they have to get smarter in order to survive, but we're taking them out and we're reducing our fish populations. And I don't care what anyone says, guys. You can't say it's like, oh, Randy, you're just not catching them because you don't keep up with your ways and you're stuck in your old ways. That's not true at all, guys. I keep up with all the latest lure trends, and I know what's going on with that. I know where the fish live at. I know the key areas. So do my friends that fish around the country that are guides. It's not that nobody is not keeping up with the times. That's not it. What it is, again, is the fish are super educated. They're super pressured. There's not as many of them. And we're seeing an impact on that. We're seeing it because across the country, people are saying the same thing. And I go back to this same thing, guys. This is what I go back to. And if you haven't heard me tell this story, you need to listen to this. And you guys that have maybe heard me tell this, just remind yourself of it. And I'll use the example again of Table Rock Lake. But you guys can equate it to your own personal lake. Back 30 or 40 years ago, we had a very limited lure selection, for the most part compared to what we have now. We had rudimentary crankbaits like the bomber crankbaits, hellbenders. We had rudimentary jerkbaits like the old spoonbill rebels. We had spinner baits with rubber skirts on them. We had live rubber jigs. You had topwaters like Zara spooks. And, you had a handful of plastics. You basically had plastic worms, or there wasn't any creature baits. There wasn't any swim baits. You had a very, very basic lure selection. And you could go down to Table Rock Lake or Grand Lake or anywhere you go, and you could just whack them. You could go down there and whack tons of fish in big bags on that. Guys, if I would give you, if I would take the lures that 30 or 40 years ago, I used to catch 20-pound bags down at Table Rock Lake and give them to you and say, this is what you have to fish with, and all you get to use is a flasher, you wouldn't catch crap. I can promise you would not catch crap on those things. And that is because the fish aren't there. The fish populations are not there. They have been educated to some extent, but it doesn't, answering me this is what the education part of it on the fish doesn't make sense. It's like, let's say, for example, back in 1972, you could take a white hellbender that looked like a striper trolling plug, and you could go down, and if you went down there in the pre-spawn, you had about an 85 or 90% chance to catch a 7 or 8 pound bass. I witnessed it myself. If I would give you a white hellbender right now and take you down to Table Rock in March and have you throw that thing, you could probably throw it for a week and never get a bite on it. And they have never seen it. They don't see hellbenders. So it's not like there's been generations, and there's been 10 generations of bass that have come and gone that have never seen a white hellbender, but they won't bite a white hellbender. And you know why they won't? Because the fish aren't there. The populations of fish are not there to bite it, to have that competition. We're dealing with a fraction of the fish in our lakes now, and we've gotten so good at catching that small fraction of fish with lure technology and electronic technology that we've created this illusion that we have decent or okay fishing, and it's not, guys. Our lakes are in serious trouble. When you see some dude weighing a 30-pound bag that he caught spotlighting, don't make the mistake of saying that lake has got a bunch of good fish in it and fishing's fine. That's not the case. Overall, if you use the same type of approach that worked effectively 20 and 30 years ago in today's fishing, you're not going to catch hardly anything. And like I said, those fish are simply not there. It's like I know for sure on the lakes I fish around here, and it's just happened just the last 2 or 3 years. I'm talking 5 or 10 years ago. It wasn't like this. You could still go out and catch a bunch of fish just 5 or 10 years ago in these type of areas I'm talking about. But just the last year, 1 to 3 years, the last 36 months across the country, something is going on with our fisheries. Those fish are gone. They're not there like they used to be. And it's just like yesterday, we were down there and not catching anything. And we talked to one guy that was down there practicing for a college tournament. And he said he'd caught a bunch of fish, live scoping with a forward facing minnow when every fish on the lake's on the bed. I just, like I said, we got some things going on with the sport that are not good. They're warning signs is what they are. And it's like, until technology is removed from fishing, you don't see these warning signs. It's almost like if somebody has a health issue that's being covered up by medication, and once that medication is taken off of them, then you get back to the root problem and the illness surfaces again. This forward-facing sonar has put a temporary Band-Aid on our lakes across the country that has given everybody this illusion that everything's okay. And guys, it is not okay. And I'm not saying that just to be griping and be negative. I'm saying that as somebody that's really concerned about the future of the sport. So anyway, let me know what you guys think about it. Let me know if you've seen some type of similar situation with that. And I'm not saying that you can't go out and catch fish, because there's situations where they're still going to bite like they used to. But overall, the vast majority of fishing in this country is going down the toilet pretty rapidly. So anyway, let me know what you think, guys. See you.